Hello everyone, welcome you again to the second lecture on object-oriented programming. In our previous lecture, we discussed syllabus of OOP, then what will be the exam scheme, evaluation criteria, objective, outcome of OOP, vision and mission of the department, and we started with the programming paradigm, and we have also seen what is the need of studying object oriented programming, right? We have seen the answer also. Now let us go to the next part. So we will start our OOP course with the limitations observed in procedure oriented programming language. So as examples already I gave in previous lecture, that programming languages like C, Pascal, Fortran, Basic and similar were the procedural programming languages. And basically what these programming languages were, they used to tell instructions or statements to the computer in order to perform some task or in order to do something. For example, get some input, add these numbers or add some numbers, or divide some number by 6 or some another number, or display some output onto the screen. Okay, so basically what the program was called in procedural programming language, that program is nothing but the list of instructions or set of instructions, right? So that is again can be called as one of the limitation of procedure oriented program. Okay, next characteristic of POP, that is procedure oriented programming language, is division into functions. Now what this division into function means, one program was or getting divided into different number of functions, and each function was given some unique task to perform, right? For example, if I want to implement the program for calculator, and I want to implement 4 functionalities of a calculator, for example addition, subtraction, division and multiplication, then I will write 4 functions in my procedure program. Okay, and each of them will do its own task. Then next characteristic about this division into function is, each function will be define its purpose and interface to the another function in the program. What it means basically, that one function can be used in another function, or I can call one function into different functions in the same program. That is nothing but the having an interface for one function to the another function in the same program. Okay, so this idea of breaking a program into functions can be extended by grouping different functions together into one thing which can be called as module, or what I can say, that the concept of module is being implemented in the procedure oriented programming language by means of functions. Okay, let us see the same thing with the help of picture. So one program, let us say xyz.c, and I am having different functions, different 8 functions. Okay, let us take the same example of calculator, right? So this arrow what indicates that there is an interface between function 1 and 4, between function 2 and 4, likewise between function 2 5 and function 3 5, likewise 7 8 or 6 also. What it means, that I can use function 1 into function 4, or I can call function 1 into function 4, and again I can call function 4 into function 6. There is no interface between 6 and 7, indicates that I'm not using, or I cannot use function 6 into 7 or any of the other function. Okay, so this implements, or this diagram shows the structure of any simple procedure oriented programming language. Okay, there is some limitation related to this characteristic. What it is, we will see. So suppose there are 4 functions, or let us consider the case of 4 functions, and I'm having some data members or some data in my program. Then if I want that some data should be used by all the functions available in my program, then I need to declare those data members or all that data as a global data. Okay, so that let us say global 1 data or any variable int x suppose, and I am declaring that x as a global, then that integer x variable can be used by this function, this function, this function, or this function also, right? That is the meaning of global data. Means anyone through that program or any function in that program can easily access that data. I mean, I am keeping that data as open. Whereas if I want that some data should be used specifically only by that function, right, then I will declare that data as local data. Okay, so this diagram indicates the one of the paradigm of procedural oriented programming about local data and global data. Okay, now what are the drawbacks of this? Let us see. As we said that every function can easily access the global data, the very important drawback is that data can be corrupted by anyone, right, either accidentally or by purposefully, by creating a function, right, which can easily access that global data. Okay, next we can access data of one function from other. Okay, as we have seen the interface between two different functions. So again local data of one function can be accessed by another function, so again there is no protection for local data as well. So this first drawback talks about the corruption of global data, but here again local data is also not safe in the procedure oriented programming language. Okay, and if my program is very large, then it is very difficult to identify what data is being used by which function. So this increases the complexity, right, or tediness in the program. In the same case, if the new idea is to be added, means as considered to the previous drawback of larger program, if I want to add some new data in my program, then all the functions which are accessing that data need to be modified, right? Very simple to understand. If I want to add something into the program, or if I want to delete something from my program, or if I want to modify something in my program, then I also need to modify all the function whichever or whoever are accessing that data which I am getting modified, right? So this is again very important drawback of the POP. The next drawback of POP is that this type of programming languages cannot model or does not model any real world problem easily. Now we can better understand this drawback very easily with the help of C++ type of programming language, right? How C++ can model real world problems easily. Now what the characteristics of POP are? So in this type of programming language, more importance or emphasis is given on doing the things or nothing but the procedure, which can also be called as algorithms. Next characteristic of POP is any large program or any simple program in POP is divided into smaller programs or in terms of functions. Most of the functions shares global data, right, and which leads to the unsecurity of the data. The next characteristic of POP is data can easily moved, openly moved around the system from one function to another function, right, as we provide the interface for the functions. Functions transform the data from one form to another. So this is a somewhat similar thing which we see in the previous characteristic. Then next important characteristic of POP is that it follows the top-down approach in program design. It means suppose I am dividing one task into multiple tasks or into multiple levels, then it starts from the top and moves towards the down. Okay, we will see this with the programming examples in the next lecture or upcoming lectures, so that it can be cleared in more easy way. Okay. Now we have seen the characteristics as well as limitations of POP. Now we'll see how OOP is doing much better way than POP. Uh, so OOP was introduced to overcome the flaws or limitations which were observed in POP, such as lack of reusability and maintainability. Now we have seen maintainability issue, right? As the data is local or global, but it is not safe because any function can access it through the same program. And we will also see in the OOP how reusability can be done in C++ programming language by means of inheritance, right? Means if I want to do the same task, then I don't need to write similar code again and again, right? Means I can write the same code once and reuse it again and again in the same program. Next important characteristic of OOP is that it combines data and functions both in the single unit. Okay, what it means basically, for example, if I want to implement a calculator, same example I will consider, then I need some variables to store the data. For example, addition, I need to store two numbers, right? For example, x and y. Then x and y will be called as data, and arithmetic addition operation can be called as function. Then I need to write one function. And what does C++ or any OOP programming language does? The data and the functions which are operating on the data, all these things are combined into a single unit, which is called as class. And instance of an class is called as object. So sometimes we can use these two things, class and objects, interchangeably, but basically these are two different concepts. Right now we need to understand that such units are called as object, or an instance of class is object. So let us summarize the characteristics of object oriented programming. So emphasize or importance on data rather than procedure. So as we have seen that POP gives more importance to the procedure, whereas OOP gives more importance to the data and its security. Then in OOP, programs are divided into entities which are called as objects, right? In POP, programs were divided into functions. Then in OOP, data structures are designed such that they characterize objects. Now we will see these all things with the help of objects when we actually start with the unit 1, right? Fundamentals of object oriented programming. Okay, because throughout the course we are always going to play with class and object, right? Everything in OOP is just an object. We will also see in short what do we mean by data structures. Okay, so don't worry about that. Next characteristic of OOP is that functions which are operating on the data of an object are tied together in the data structures. That is nothing but the class. Most important characteristic of OOP is data hiding, right? Data is not global and cannot be accessed easily by external functions. So if you want to use data of some program or some class, you need to access it through the or with the help of objects, right? Then objects of a class are or can communicate with each other through functions. So we will see with the help of example. Right now we just need to understand what are these characteristics. Next important characteristic of POP is that new data and functions can be added easily whenever necessary, right? In case of POP it was not easy for us, right? But whereas OOP allows us to add or delete any function or data whenever necessary. So these are the important characteristics, and the last one is it follows bottom up design approach, right? So if I am dividing one task into multiple tasks, so it solves first smaller tasks and then combine the solution and reaches to the top or the main given task. So these are the important characteristics of OOP. In next lectures we will study all these things with the example. Thank you.